Hey guys, Cold here. Welcome back to another video. Today it's a special day. On Sunday we're gonna have a collab with Jedi plus some other content creators that you might know, such as Hell Hades, YST, Nubkegs, and Deadwood Jedi will be all playing against each other in a content creator clash, in the sense of fighting for who makes the best clan boss team in terms of damage, how much damage we can get out of our team made only out of epics. And this will be live streamed over on Deadwood Jedi's channel today on YouTube. Like an hour from when you see this video on, you'll see Deadwood Jedi also be live, will be on, and we'll be doing a draft. Okay, so this won't be just picking our champion. This will be a draft where I pick and then somebody else picks and all that. There will be bans also of the champions that we pick, so have that in mind. This will be something for everyone, I believe, who loves the game and seeing these kind of content creator competitions. The epics that we can use, it's all up to us on which ones we pick. If somebody else picks an epic, I cannot pick it, and all that. If an epic is banned, we cannot use it. And there's also the stipulation that one of the epics in the team used has to have some kind of green in their design. So it has to be champion with something green on them, I believe. Like let me just show you. I think champion with green would be Horden, as an example. He's got like green a little bit on his design, so that's kind of going with the St. Patrick's theme. So that being said, it's not just epics. We can use rares or uncommons if we want to. I don't think you're gonna see much action from rares, especially uncommons, in a clan boss draft. Maybe rares, maybe apothecary, maybe Ares, maybe Valeria. There's Valerie. There's some rares that can do some things that are useful, but I think with the amount of epics that we have, we've got good alternatives that can be used instead. And what I want to do in this video is just I'll cover some of the epics which I think will see action today in terms of the picks. In terms of the Bannerlords, I don't think there's an epic here which will see action before anybody else. So skipping the Bannerlords, going into the High Elves, I was looking at them before. There's a very good case for Tyrell being into somebody's pick, but he's not going to be the MVP. He will be someone's champion pick if this happens as a 5th or 6th pick, because remember, we've got one ban happening. So somebody will be picking him up because he has to use some champion that will apply a decreased attack, and they end up with Tyrell as being one of their options. Other than that, we might even see Verges being picked by somebody. I know that Deadwood Jedi likes Verges a lot, so he might be picking him as a way to show that he can use him and make a team out of it. I think he used it before. I don't know if it was like an all epics team, but if somebody picks Verges, it's probably going to be Deadwood. Apothecary, I can see totally being picked just for the speed boosting aspect and the healing aspect. Ares, also very good, but she lacks survivability, so it's gonna be hard for somebody to use Ares and also keep her alive. So it all depends on how things are gonna go. So overall, for High Elves, these are the picks that I can see clearly being ones contested. Let's go to the Sacred Order. Sacred Order, we've got many more picks. I think Eothar will be something picked, might be by me. Lots of poisons here, 4 poisons. And if you got the gear, you can actually have these going much quicker. If you got refresh accessories, which I do have, Eothar can be a very easy option to go for. I think other champions that can be useful for will be, of course, Deacon Armstrong. I think he's going to be one of the top picks because of the leech, decreased defense, and speed boosting. And that is only if you're comfortable building teams that can utilize that speed boosting. Works very well with Seeker, but I doubt anybody will manage to pick up both Seeker and Deacon to build a team. And then I would say Godseeker, one of the few champions that can heal and also extend the duration of buffs. Very strong champion as well. In terms of rares, I don't see one that will see a lot of action. And then Barbarians, for the Barbarians faction, I will say we might see High Katoon being picked just because she's got some green on her. I think, well, this is like turquoise, is what Deadwood Jedi said. So might not be the one picked, but she might be picked. Frankie the Fat absolutely will be picked or banned 100%. If nobody does, I will pick him. Okay, I think he's gonna be there for sure. Very, very strong damage dealer and just overall clan boss champion. Marked can see some action as a rare because of her 3-turn cooldown block debuffs plus increased defense. This can make your team not affinity friendly but stun friendly. Okay, so you don't have to have a stun target, somebody that takes the stun and loses that turn. You can actually use her, and look at that, that increased defense will be huge to keeping your team alive. She also has I think some solid damage and a decreased defense as well, which I don't think you'll need, but she'll be there for somebody to use for sure. Going into the Ogryn Tribes, there's many options here. Ugo can be very solid because of the leech and decreased defense that Ugo applies. Very solid. Claude can see some action. Although the increased speed will be affecting your team speed, you'll have to speed tune them correctly. He does have very solid healing. Siege Hulk can be an option as a damage dealer, but I don't think so. Skull Crusher, 100% only ally protect plus counterattack champion in the game, and the counterattack available through an epic will be huge. Man-Eater 100% will be picked or banned because of you can make an unkillable team with him or a Painkeeper, him plus a Painkeeper. I mean, other than that, I can see Eurogrim maybe, but very long cooldowns. Continuous heal buff, this is not enough to keep your team alive. He does have a cleanse plus heal. He's okay, but he's not as crucial, I don't think, in being in a team anymore after his nerf. Here from Lizardmen, I expect Jureg to be picked by somebody that needs a decreased attack and a ally protect plus increased defense. Longer cooldown though, 4 turns. So that might be the case, but he's very strong in keeping people alive. Venomage, the same thing in the sense of damage reduction. Very strong, plus poisons, plus decreased attack, plus decreased defense. Insane, plus activation of poisons. So many good picks here that are possible. Aox, also very strong pick. Not as strong as the others that I've mentioned. So I don't think he'll be banned, but I think he can be picked if there's somebody who's on the edge and still needs something to boost up a little bit their stats. This one right here, Scathix, is also very, very strong. Cleanse plus block debuffs plus a shield. This is a 2-turn duration, 4-turn cooldown, so you can keep your team well, it won't be affinity friendly because it won't matter because we're going to be hitting void, but you can keep them not being affected by the stun because of this, and also protect them a little bit. I don't think anybody would really care so much about the stun because it's something that you can manipulate and not depend on using a block debuffs champion. That will be huge in terms of us building the teams. Here for Skinwalkers, I don't think many will see action. Feign could be an option for the person who has managed to pick through and get a Demitha or a Man-Eater. Okay, so the unkillable block damage teams, they can use something like a Feign, but Feign is so squishy that not only you'll depend on a decreased attack, but you'll depend on her having high stats such as 3000 defense, which is very hard to build on champions such as Feign who have very low base stats. So Orcs. The Orcs do have some good champs that you can use for clan boss. I would say the most obvious one would be Sandlashed for the extension of buffs plus ally protection potential through the passive and defense aura. I don't think champions like Vrask will be used. This one, Liburga, whatever you want to call her, very strong Doom Tower champion. I have her available on my account, so she's an option. Very strong poisons. Poison plus sensitivity, poison sensitivity, plus increased defense, increased attack on a 4-turn cooldown. Very strong for both damage output and just a defensive champion. Plus, look at that. When attacked, has a 50% chance of increasing the duration of all poison debuffs on the attacker by 1 turn. I would think that is a very strong skill to have. In terms of the Orcs, in terms of the rares, yeah, as I've mentioned, not so many that we can use. Then going into Demonspawn, again, a very strong faction overall for their legendaries. But in terms of epics, I don't know if we'll see any action. I could see Areneas being there, but there's so many more better ones. Like, he does have a poison on the A1, increased duration of debuffs on the A2, Urticata, very strong if you land the Hex, okay? That takes 1 debuff slot, but then this passive basically enables anybody to become a poisoner. So you can actually use her as a way to apply poisons with everybody else being damage dealers. So you can have her, and then you can start applying decreased defense, weaken, HP burn by other champions, and their crits will be enabling her passive to apply poisons on the boss. So Urticata, pretty solid, plus increased speed aura, enables for very fast speed. So it all depends on how comfortable you are with the rest of the champions that you pick. If you're gonna pick Urticata, going into Undead Hordes, Seeker will be guaranteed again picked or banned, because he can be so good with this boosting of speed, very strong, plus the extra turn that he gets basically makes this a 2-turn cooldown. It's insane for just a speed booster. Other than that, it can do some solid damage with the A1, but again, you gotta see on how you're gonna be building your team. We've got Anax here, also very strong, but again, very squishy champion. Just look at that defense, 815, very low. I guess we can see a Vogoth here. He can extend duration, I think, of debuffs on targets, and he can also apply a leech on the attacker. So he can be used as a last ditch effort to have some sort of healing in your team. But other than that, I think we're gonna see a Frozen Banshee again picked if somebody is missing a poisoner and hasn't managed to pick one through. For Dark Elves, by the way, we've got many options here. Dark Elf being one of the MVPs. Just look at the kit. Activation of poisons and HP burns, decrease attack plus extension of debuffs, poison plus poison sensitivity, plus decreases critical rate of enemies if you apply poisons. This is insane, by the way. If you don't consider that, the boss has a 15% chance to crit. So if you basically reduce that to 0 without the need of a decreased critical rate debuff on the enemy, then this will be huge for just having a consistent run, okay, where your damage that you take is only what you see on the screen and nothing based on just pure luck, okay? Very, very strong in there. Other than that, I don't have much familiarity with other champions in terms of using them for clan boss. I can see Painkeeper for sure, the cooldown reduction. I don't think Paragon will be used, although great. Crimson Helm, I don't think we're going to see a Revive on Death action kind of team. Revive on Death is very, very, very difficult to build. You need 2 of them, 2 champions with the Revive on Death in the team, plus a champion usually with a Revive on Death passive or a block damage passive. So you will depend on that. And do you want to depend on that? Keeping your team alive, it's going to be very difficult to build, and it's a high risk. Maybe medium reward to high reward if you pick a Revive on Death team. Going into Night Rev, I can see Doom Priest being picked by people who want consistent healing, but because we don't care about affinities, Doom Priest really falls off in terms of her usefulness. Rector Drath is a solid pick. Sepulcher, again, solid pick, but again, Sepulcher is more used to make teams affinity friendly rather than to make teams clan boss, you know, heavy in terms of damage. So I wouldn't see Sepulcher being picked as easily as other champions, but this passive is quite solid. Her aura is solid. So overall, we might see this, but I don't think the stun target will be such of an issue for anybody, okay? Going into the rares, Coffin Smasher might see some action. Decrease attack, HP burn, decreases the damage enemies inflict with it, AoE attacks by 5%. This is huge actually, and very underrated in terms of helping you survive. So I could definitely see that. Renegade, also very, very strong. If you can get a copy with maybe the one of these not booked, you can build solid teams with Renegade. But again, it's usually Renegade plus Seeker that we do. Then looking at the Dwarves action, I could see some of these champions being used. Geomancer for sure, but this Geomancer pick will be more for the people who know that they can take the clan boss team to 40 turns. If you can get Geomancer to survive the 40 turns with a killable team, okay, this will be huge for your damage potential, because that's where he ramps up a lot after 35 or so turns. Up to 30 turns, it's not so much that you will see. And he also shines when it's on affinity, when the boss is on affinity. So you're not going to see much action out of Geomancer, I would say, from the first couple of picks, but definitely for somebody who thinks they can get their team to survive all the way there, might see something. Runekeeper does Dirk, maybe. Increase attack buff, 3-turn cooldown, 25% boost, Intermitter, pretty solid, plus cleanse, heal, and continuous heal. This is huge, okay, in terms of just healing everybody, keeping them alive. Demitha obviously will be picked, but again, difficult to build. All right, difficult to build, especially with the bans happening. I don't see any of the rares, these rares, doing anything. Maybe Bulwark, but again, distant possibility. Plus HP burns from rares do less damage than epic HP burns, if you guys didn't know. Shadowkin ones will definitely see Taragi either picked or banned out of the first couple. 100% chance, no doubt. Ally protection, decrease attack, and poisons. Very huge kit here. Out of the other ones, we might see some action, but not so much. Maybe Nogoroyo. I don't think Sachi or Hotachu will be used. Oboro, not so much. I don't really have much experience with these personally. I haven't built many of these other than, you know, Taragi. So I can't say 100% no doubt that any of these will be picked. And then we have the new Sylvan Watchers with not so many options here in terms of our uses. For me personally, I don't even have like half of the epics. So I wouldn't even care. But this champion might be a pick, a big pick. Ruella, very strong. Build Terminator plus critical rate. A2 decrease defense. We can decrease speed. Won't care about that. But very, very strong kit with this boost on a 3-turn cooldown. Very strong buff. And then we have this one, Nia. Okay. This one, I think, will be a tricky pick if somebody does it, okay? Not only because of the ally protect and strengthen, which is huge for keeping somebody alive. Well, the team 3-turn cooldown, ally protect plus strengthen is insane. This one right here removes all debuffs from target ally, then heals them. If the target of the skill is not this champion, decreases the cooldown of all of the target skills by 2 turns. This is insane, actually. And if you can get this one to be basically Widri and Nia cleansing the stun target when this happens, because that will also be the target that gets damaged by a big hit, this can be potentially huge in terms of getting a big damage output out of that specific champion. So we're bound to see something pretty cool if somebody picks her and manages to build a team that can force Widriania to use her A2 skill whenever it's available on the stun target to not only cleanse the stun but also reset cooldowns. And the thinking behind the reset of cooldowns will also be something that you have in mind. I can see like a team already with Widriania and Farrakhan the Fat potentially being something that you can do, not only because Farrakhan the Fat can take less damage from single target hits because of his insane passive, which deflects 20% of the damage and spreads them on other allies, so he doesn't take so much damage but makes him an ideal stun target. It's huge if you can manage to get a reset on Farrakhan the Fat and then him just doing the ally attack again because of that reset, and basically having these 2 skills fully available for him again. So that double combo together will be huge. It all depends if you manage to get those 2 to be picked together. That being said, this will be an interesting one for sure, since again you still need to pick up one champion and use them in your team that will have some kind of green in their colors, okay, the color scheme. So it's not just picking whatever you have in mind. They also need to have some sort of green, and Widriania is one of them that I could see being a useful one at least. Okay, so this was the video, guys. I'll see you guys over when I'm live over on Undead with Jedi. The other creators will also be live. The live will probably be like a 2-hour long thing because of how the drafts thing goes. We're gonna have some back and forth with the other creators for sure. It's gonna be a ton of fun. I hope to see you there. Thank you all so much. Subscribe if you haven't already and you want to see some more action of this, and I'll see you guys soon. See ya.